Dear Venerable Sir, Sister, Dhamma friends, this is the time for our today's Dhamma talk. To start the talk, everyone may consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Kim panauso magga magganyana dassana visuddhattang bhagavati brahmacharyang vussati no hidang auso ti. Dear Dhamma friends, in the series of Dhamma talks we are delivering based upon the Rathavinitha Sutta, we are now reaching the next purification known as the purification by the knowledge and vision of what is the path and what is the not the path. So this is a kind of a critical purification, and so far as a background for that, purification of the virtues, purification of the mind, the purification of views, and the purification of overcoming doubts we have already discussed. These are very, very essential, basic, preliminary stages. And they are the, in fact, most demanding stages if someone is managing to continue without drawback or without distraction. The next one is the understanding the path and the non-path. So, by so far, we have of course discussed the number of dangers or disadvantages or pitfalls. We have managed to not to fall, but even then still the understanding the path or purification by the knowledge and vision of the what is the path and what is not the path is still remaining, and therefore this is something we have to discuss little in detail. So few points we have to take into mind. The very at the outset of this discourse, it categorized or enumerated 10 qualities of the particular the monk, namely Venerable Punnamanthaniputta. These 10 qualities are some, they are providing some guidelines as to whether someone is going on the correct path or wrong path. So it says that Venerable Punnamanthaniputta was the first and foremost quality, apicchata. The person is having a little of wishes. There is no much of consumerization, no craving for the luxuries. Therefore, one has to understand when someone is progressing along this life, and specifically if the mindfulness and the concentration is catching, and someone has to think about, reconsider, have to second thought the way of life. That apicchata, having few amount of wishes, is much, much conducive for the advancement of the mindfulness, for the advancement of the concentration and the rest of the good qualities conducive for the meditative life. And apicchata, it is leading to santuttita. Santuttita means the contentment, or someone must have idea about enough, and then be contented with what is available. So such a person having a kind of a mindset, have enough time and enough other background situation conducive for the mindfulness and the concentration. If you have no santuttita, or if you have no any contentment or satisfaction or saturated situation, you are always thinking about the future and creativity, productivity. So you feel mindfulness is something costing time, and therefore when comparing, you will give more and more chances than time for your creativity and productivity, so-called future planning, and less time for the mindfulness. But if you wish to have the correct path, least frictional path, or straight path, or middle path, you have to have the santuttita, that means the contentment. Whenever this santuttita happen, pavivekata, you are going to get enough time, leisure time, so that if you wish you can sit, or otherwise you can do walking meditation, or you can spend the time in a slow pace, so that it is more conducive for the mindfulness. If otherwise, if you are so occupied, if you are so engaged, you have to squeeze out the time for sitting meditation and walking meditation. And I would like to make a special remark here. If you have such a pressure for the time, often you cut off your walking meditation. You will rather give the priority for sitting meditation, thinking it is more productive, and walking meditation is considered as something like wastage of time. So it is less productive, and that will undermine the durability of our meditative life. So unless otherwise you have enough time allocated, hardly a rational mind going to justify the time for walking meditation. So therefore, even if you have so much of multitask and kind of thing, the point I am going to make is that you have to give at least 50% of your time for walking meditation. If you have pavivekata, there is no much of a pressure. You have enough time for walking meditation. So pavivekata is quite necessary, and that is why the forest dwellings and becoming a monk or a nun, going to the forest and have the pavivekata. So from this point of view, we can say, one can make a remark, if you are a meritorious person, if you are a person well-to-do, this must be the first quality. You must maintain your pavivekata. You must have the own time. Otherwise, if you are engaged with so much of earnings or social work or other kind of thing, becoming a busy boy, ultimately what happened is that you are undermining your time for walking and sitting meditation, specifically in the walking meditation. So therefore, pavivekata, one has to consider. If you can only have pavivekata, that means free time, if you know how to say enough, how to be contented with what is available. So therefore these are interconnected qualities. And then asansaggata is the next one. Asansaggata means not much socialization. And socialization is costing so much of time. You don't feel it. Ultimately you will be completely exhausted. And whatever the socialization is naturally pushing towards the sensuous pleasure. Unless otherwise you are associating with the noble friends and the holy people, general party-going type of atmosphere, mentality is costing so much of time. Leave aside the money and the other kind of thing, and ultimately you will be more and more indulging sensuous pleasure. So therefore, asansaggata, you must know the art of have your own time. And then viryarambakata means that you must have enough energy, not get exhausted. Even if you have pavivekata like kind of time, if you are very sleepy and the kind of lazy bones, time time will be wasted on sleeping rather than on Viryarambha Katha, rather than on exerting on this or striving on this meditative life. So that may be the reason it has been at the beginning of the discourse enumerated these 5 qualities, 10 qualities, I have already explained 5, as attributes to Venerable Punnamantaniputta, and Sila Dasana Katha, Samadhi Dasana Katha, Panya Dasana Katha, Vimutti Katha, Vimutti Jnana Dasana Katha. That means having these ethical and the social qualities, you must always try to uplift or improve regarding your moral situation or respect to the precepts and moral responsibilities. Moral responsibility is not a steady, permanent state. Ever you have to reconsider and improve it and increase the efficiency. And the samadhi, that means concentration, also a volatile thing. You must day by day make it your second nature and improve upon that. And then you must never be happy with the amount of samadhi you have. And therefore ever trying ways and means to keep the mind as much as possible in the concentrated situation. And Panya Dasana Katha, whenever this samadhi or concentration happen, you are going to get the foresight or see through kind of mentality. Under such circumstances, you must not allocate your the time for knowledge regarding the sensuous pleasure. Instead, either you have to go for immaterial pleasure or to the final goal. So therefore, whatever the knowledge that you are to mention here must be supramundane kind, not to have this worldly knowledge. And therefore, you must have a certain limits to limits or understanding about the worldly knowledge. Without that, we can't live a life. And after that, allocate the time for knowledge that under this context, that means insight knowledges. That means the meditative knowledge. And the vimukti, I think that is the one we have to take seriously, because nowadays, as I mentioned number of times, people are meditating with different objectives. Sometimes for healing, sometimes for curing, sometimes to increase your memory power, and the many other short objectives. If that is the case, or if you are not aiming at the final liberation, meditation, even if you are in a fairly advanced stage, complications can take place, or going off the road can happen. So therefore, at least you must understand what is the purpose of this insight meditation. The purpose of insight meditation is to see things as they are. If you are to see things as they are, definitely the mind is in towards the liberation. Due to the fact that we don't see things as they are, that is why we get attached. Whenever you are to see things as they are, the detachment is or abandonment is the case. So therefore, that objectives must be again and again remembered and straightened. And whenever that, not the final goal maybe a little the milestones when you are passing, each and everything you have to understand and appreciate it. Then only the progress will be going. So that is how 10 qualities given to Venerable Punnamantaniputta. So when you are reading the commentarial exegesis in the Theravada tradition, it has tried many ways how to behave towards your feeding, how to behave towards your clothing, how to behave towards your dwellings, how to behave towards your medicine and other kind of thing. So everything you have to go for utility value. That is the key term. Don't go for luxuries. Don't go for extravagance due to the fashion in the society. So therefore, from this luxurious and the consumerizing way, that is the norm in the society, but you have to come back to the basic needs, or basic needs may be too much, but the utility value. Then that means you know how to understand the path and the non-path. Otherwise, whenever the mindset becomes very free, it is progressing, natural tendency is to go for sensuous pleasure. And if that is going to happen, now you are in a more vulnerable situation, because mind is very sharp. Mind is with the foresight. And whatever the direction you turn it, it go with a very accelerated way. So therefore, your steering or fine-tuning towards the final goal always has to be understood. That is why this fourth, fifth purification means. So, Venerable Sariputta is asking, are you, dear friends, living this holy life under the Blessed One for this purification by the knowledge and the vision of the path and the non-path? But even at that level, the Venerable Punnamanthaniputta says, this is not the final, but this is a very crucial one, yet another stage. So, when we are meeting places like this, the Eastern and the Western people, it's a very good mutual understanding as to see different ways of life. And out of that, you have to understand the criterion towards the efficiency, not to the sensuous pleasure, but to have this final liberation. So therefore, this is the place you have to sit and decide, am I in the process to understand the middle path, or least frictional path, or using the thing for the utility value. And even then, if you fail to understand, definitely you miss the bus. That is why it says, asare saramatino sare cha sara dassino te sarang nadi gacchanti miccha sankappa gochara. You may see the whole sansara, or this perpetual death and birth and death life chain, or this we can say generally the society is like a buffet diet. Many things are being served. So you are the one to decide what you are going to eat. So it's a huge collection and huge presentation, but if you do not know what is the most conducive and nutritious for you, you are the one to suffer. So at that moment you are going to get a varietal entertainment, full-fledged table. And therefore, your decision is going to decide what is going to happen. Up to this point, your table is not complete, because you have so much of purification to be done. But when that come up to this overcoming doubts, specifically, you are opening so much of good qualities in your mind, and not only that, you are going to get so much of opportunities, better opportunities. But if you do not know how to select the priorities and to select what is the best for you, better for you, then you are not going to get the chance. So therefore, asare saramatino, if someone considers the essence, if someone is going to understand the non-essence, the negative of the essence as the essence, or essence is being neglected, so such a person will never go and entertain the essence because of his wrong calculation, wrong thoughts. So here, the value of attention is becoming the only factor deciding. You can't say it is decided by the omnipotent, omnipresent God, or you can't say it is due to the lack of opportunities, or you can't say it is karmic forces, nothing. Only your attention come into the face-to-face it. So by that time you must be very careful to make use the opportunity. For example, the Buddha himself used to say daily, it seems, at the end of the day's program, when he go back to his kuti or the dwelling place, some monks used to go behind him, and he enter it and return and let the other monks know there are 7 very rare opportunities in the world, so you have to be very aware of that. The first and foremost thing is the arising of the Blessed One. And now the Blessed One is telling this is a very, very rare opportunity. And when the Blessed One come into being, if you can be a human being, then only you can make use of the opportunity. Therefore, under such circumstances, becoming a human being is the second rare most situation. Third one is, if you are not disabled, if you are full-fledged, that is also very important. Otherwise, you will be full of with inferiority complex. You will never make use the chance of the Buddha. And under this thing, that is, you have all the faculties intact. The other one is the chance to listen to the Dhamma or to expose to this truth. That is very rare. And having that, if you can allocate to a time, full time or part time like this, to completely for Dhamma. It is a very rarely happening, and when that is happening, still if you have role models or noble friends and holy people, these are the things. So when we are considering that, we are so lucky, we get all the opportunities, but even then, if you are not moral, if you have no purification of the mind and correct view and the doubts, if it is not overcome, doubt being not overcome, so we are not exposed to these rare opportunities. But now, after passing these hurdles, now we are in such a opportunity. So therefore, you must understand the difference between the good and the better. It appears like very simple expression, but we are so weak in understanding or discriminating what is good and what is better. Because good you earn with so much of fight by getting rid of bad. In this fight, you will be the winner, you get rid of the bad and come into the good. But when you come up to this point, you are going to get so much of better opportunities. But at the face of better opportunities, if you do not know how to abandon the good, then that is the point you are missing the bus. So this is the challenge at this moment, understanding the path and the non-path. So, Anapanasati Sutta, if I am to quote it, the Buddha explained all the kind of establishment of the mindfulness in 16 stages just with respect to the in-breath and out-breath. He says in the 4 first tetrads, how you are mastering, how you are disciplining yourself to get the very calm and serene, very subtle layers of the breath. So when that happens, if you can master it and season it, be with the very subtle breath, that is the point you are mastering the materiality, the corporeality, the body, or kaya anupassana in Pali. So that is the first and foremost thing, you make the situation conducive. And then you are bound to feel rapture and the pleasure as a gift of your proper meditation. That means you are slowly entering into the feelings, and then you are bound to see how whenever the bodily distractions are not there, whenever the grossness of the body is not there, how the feeling and perception are going to work. For the first time, that is what indicate Chitta Sankhara Patisangvedi Asasissamiti Sikkati. Person is going to feel how the mental layer, the feelings and the perception. And then, if he is well instructed, he will calm down, not to carried away by the pain and the pleasure, but to be with the no pain, no pleasure. And not to carried away by the perceptions, and not to take these concepts as reality, understand the concept as concepts, and the perception as perception, and calm down then only the Chittanupassana starts, where you are going to learn the phenomena called the mind. And this is the area where you are coming to the understanding of path and non-path. It says, first and foremost, Chitta patisangvedi asasisamiti sikkati, Chitta patisangvedi pasasisamiti sikkati. For the first time you understand the mind without 5 hindrances. It has no emotions, it has no distracting thoughts, it has no distracting pain and pleasure, and mind appear very serene, as if mind is without any object. Mind itself becomes the object for that. So like you are, as an example, you are in a spacecraft. It is beyond the gravitational force, nothing to hit. There is no friction, even no air. It is just moving. Something like the mindset become a frictionless path. So when that happens, one first and foremost thing is to understand you earned it due to the proper instructions. And when you go there, first you have to acclimatize into the situation. It is now you are moving forward without much of a friction. And so much so when you are familiarizing it or seasoning it, you will come to a situation where even if you are fast moving, you can't feel like moving because there are no other reference points to see passing. When the spacecraft is moving, when there no other astronomical objects to compare it with, whatever the speed, you can't feel it. Because there is nothing to compare. So at that moment, you feel like you are stagnated. You feel like something to do, because now I am meditating in this stage, there is no progress like. That is because one thing is lack of understanding, second thing is your seasoning is not enough. The mastery is not enough. So you have to really season it. It must be your second nature. And then only, that means if I am to go to the early example, now you are not roaming in the tip of the iceberg, now you are in the very center of the iceberg, and therefore now you are observing your conscious mind with respect to the unconscious mind. You yourself becoming a mirror, and then see how you behave in the conscious way when the unconscious come into being. Because you are enlightening into the unconscious. Or in the matter-wise it says you are enlightening into the dark matter, enlightening into the dark energy, and from the dark energy point of view, you are looking at the matter. So likewise, you can see how much you are, what are the roles, or what are the characters you are acting, so-called in your social life. You can understand why I am behaving like that, how it happens, what are the motivations, because now no friction, you can understand what is happening. With respect to that, when you are in the normal consciousness, how much acting we are doing, how much the facelifting, how much to satisfy others, how much we are living on others' eyes rather than living. So in the modern society, this is the worst situation. From morning to evening, you have no time to live with yourself. You are always trying to satisfy others or live in others' eyes. So when you can see that from the unconscious point of view, This is for the first time you are getting the first-hand experience, the social life and your private life, or your the purified situation. Under such circumstances, it says that the impermanent nature, the nature of the impermanence, you can understand. Whatever maybe you are going to act, whatever maybe you are going to camouflage, whatever you are going to make up, whenever they are going to subject into impermanence, that is the point suffering happens. But instead, if you let the nature, that's called suchness, to run the show, without manipulating, without steering, without volitions, without will, this is the situation now the yogi is, and how much frictionless is the situation, how much is the contentment, and besides that, whatever the things you are going to do, all the things are subject to change or impermanent. So you are in such a comparative situation to understand. So whenever things are going to change, it is definitely going to be disheartening, and that is how one of the meaning of this suffering, and you are end up with fear. Whatever the plan you are going to have, it is going to be something otherwise. And if you know the art of disclaiming what your intentions, what your will, what you call this is me and this is not me, and whenever the disappointments happen, whenever the astray thoughts going to happen, whenever pain is going to distract you, or sound going to distract you, all the distractions and all the worries, if you know the art of disclaiming them, then and there release is there. This disclaiming, only possible for the people, those who understand the unconscious. At the conscious level, disclaiming never happens. You always claim, this is me, this is mine, this is my soul. Whatever you are claiming is nothing but some kind of defilements and repercussions. But when you go to the subconscious level, you can understand everything happening under the situation, so-called suchness. And comparatively in our day-to-day life, how much kind of acquiring unwanted thing and undergoing friction and claiming them as myself, and so much of frustration, so much of stress, and so much of wear and tear. So this, whenever you are given the chance to see the path and non-path, the mindset is so clear. Of course, not throughout the day. At the sometimes, at a period of your meditation, it is called Chitta Sangvedi. Chitta Patisangvedi Asasi Samiti Sikkati. Chitta Patisangvedi Pasasi Samiti Sikkati. In the traditional or commentarial exegesis, it says this is the time you experience the jhanic experiences. That means you are out of the influence of the 5 hindrances and you are inside the jhana, or inside the absorption. But even the Vipassana yogis clearly can understand a chunk of time you can't claim that you are obsessed with thoughts. You can't claim that it is painful. You can't claim that you are distracted from the sounds, and you feel it as if inside a jhana experience like. So when that happens, one has to really master it, acclimatize into that, season that, and make it a second nature like. That means sometimes some teacher says you have to develop this situation to go more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Let the mind to be in this frictionless there. And then if you are not prepared, if you are not well instructed, 45 minutes, 50 minutes like you start to feel the boredom. Of course you have already experienced the boredom, and now only then only you came up to this point. And in order to season it, you have to sit long. The sitting session must be longer. And within that also, yes, nothing doing, everything is happening, you have to maintain this situation. So when that happens, the moment you really appreciate it, there's a huge amount of immaterial pleasure going to happen. It's called abhippamodayan chittang assasissamiti sikkati, abhippamodayan chittang passasissamiti sikkati. Atipramoda. It's called unalloyed and inalienable. You feel like sitting. And that time the breath is not there. If the breath is there, you can say it is beautiful breathing. Breath itself gives complete nourishment, and besides that, nothing you need. In Sinhala, we can say, asvasaya aswadayak vena. Just by breathing, everything is fulfilled. You are either feeling very subtle breath, or sometimes no breath, but you are very sure you are not dead, you are not fainted, you are not sleepy, very bright. So, when that happens, only for the first time you are going to understand the early investment of your time for the mindfulness. So, mindfulness and the concentration taken the helm into their hand, and now it is going to go. So, this is happening at the Chittanupassana level from the Satipatthana point of view, and the mind is prepared to leave the gravitational forces and sometimes going into the non-gravitational area. That is how this atipramoda, that means the great happiness or pleasure going to happen. So when and when it happen, if you are correcting the correct paths or avoiding the wrong path, you have to think about how to assimilate this situation in each and every city. How to increase this well-seasoned, balanced situation again and again. So Buddha mentioned in some occasions, if you wish to develop that kind of a well-refined concentration, you must have the quality, you have to facilitate it in such a way, samadhissacha nimittak gayi hoti. That means, under what circumstances I reached it, was it a morning time, was it after sitting, or after a meal, what kind of atmosphere or background situation, you have to take signs and repeat it as much as possible, so that situation will be assured in each and every sitting. Samadhissacha nimittak gayi hoti. Whenever that pure kind of samadhi going to happen, you have to get the signs, you have to get the labels as to how to assimilate it again and again. The Buddha gave a very nice example. He says when an eagle or a carnivorous kind of a bird, when it is waiting for hunt prey, it knows whenever the eagle is seen, animals are not going to give a chance, so therefore eagle can't definitely go face to face, therefore it hide and wait in a comfortable place till the animals are coming close into their jurisdiction. For example, in Nissarana we see how the monkeys fall into prey. So monkeys play and go in there. But the eagle is waiting under trees which have big leaves, shady leaves, and wait, and it's observe which is the most weakest monkey or the smallest. And is aiming at, planning, because it knows if the other group is going to know, they will chase the eagle, so therefore it wait and see the opportunity, the best time to jump and take the prey. So the Buddha says, if the eagle becomes successful, it knows it like an arrow goes to the prey and catch the fellow and immediately jump into the air. Because more and more it is closing to the trees and the ground, monkeys will take hand, monkeys will get the better opportunity. So therefore it is directly shooting back to the air, taking this thing, still living. As when it is going there more and more towards the sky, now the eagle feel comfortable because the monkey's area is gone. And the Buddha says under such circumstances, the eagle look back and see where was the situation, where is the situation I was, how I catch it, how was my catch was successful. And then he take a note so that for the next day also he can repeat the same catch or successful catch. So when it is going to the sky or away from the ground, look back and see. Likewise, the yogi also has to get the signs and understanding what are the conducive conditions. The best situation was helpful for me to have this situation, and this has to be repeated. So, under the retreat situation, each and every one of you may understand, if you are going to have 4 to 5 sittings, only 1 or sittings are successful. And sometimes it has a pattern. As one question raised one day, morning sittings are good. That is some people. Some others says, evening sittings are good. So, whenever you are going to understand that kind of a conducive situation, next day, when you are preparing for this kind of successful sitting, you must give the maximum conducive condition, have a very nice walking meditation, clean your body, have enough water if you wish, go to the toilet, finish it and come and sit. So because it is going to be successful, and then you can sit long. Likewise, at the beginning you are just adhering to the 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking. But when you are going to understand this very clear situation of the mindfulness, the concentration, you have to be strategic to get a longer sitting in the successful way, for the possible successful sittings. And there you have to support with the walking meditation and kind of thing. There you may little adjust the timetable in order to maximize this kind of situation. And this, as well the Anapanasati Sutta is concerned, that's also you find in the Majjhima Nikaya. This is being attributed to the Chitta Anupasana. Chitta Parisangvedi Asasi Samiti Sikkati, Chitta Parisangvedi Pasasi Samiti Sikkati, and then Abhipamodhayan Chittam Asasi Samiti Sikkati, Abhipamodhayan Chittam Pasasi Samiti Sikkati, Samadhahan Chittam Asasi Samiti Sikkati, Samadhahan Chittam Pasasi Samiti Sikkati. The Samadhahan means you try to understand how to maximize this, so how to give the conducive conditions, and it is common sense, general understanding. So then only you can maximize it, increase it. And yet it another way, it says, if I am to refer back to the early situation, the untrained mind, the unmindful mind, unconcentrated mind, usually see the phenomena once it come up to the certain maturity and fixed. And then from this to next roughness it changes. Never see the in-between or the subtle beginning or subtle ending. So first and foremost what you do is you just get the mind acquainted with the gross in-breath and out-breath. That means the middle of the in-breath and middle of the out-breath. And then the Buddha advises us to, if the situation is under control, if the object is face to face it, just try to see the beginning of the in-breath, or be prepared, be vigilant at the beginning, and see through the middle and to the end as much as possible. And to the out-breath also. Walking meditation also. In the day-to-day also. And when it is happening, first you may see the beginning, and one day you will see the beginning, the middle and the end. When that happens, naturally you are going to see each and every object has its own intrinsic beginning, the middle and the end. One example given by the shadow when I was in Panditarama was, when you are observing a TV screen, when the program is not running, there are a lot of dots are appearing. I mean, modern the TVs, they don't show it. Sometimes they are cut off there. But early TV, they had a situation where droplets happened. 1001 drops happen. So if you observe it, a little while you feel boring. You feel very monotonous because the drops and drops and drops. But if you observe and sharply on one single object, that single object has its own beginning, its own middle and its own end. And the second thing is, never two drops are colliding each other. How much the density is, there's a space between. The space means one drop appear and again in the same place another drop appears, in between there's a time gap. And in the same time, but if the drops appear in the same screen, between two drops, the space gap is there. So time and space, always one drop is an independent, intrinsic, it has its own the beginning, the middle and the end. So whenever you are going to see the beginning, the middle and the end, that invariably suggests the transient nature. So I am again making the difference. At the beginning you can see the one drop, its own private intrinsic characteristic. The next drop, its private intrinsic characteristic. If I am to go back to the in-breath, it's how it differs from the out-breath. Out-breath differs from the in-breath. Likewise, you can see individual characteristic. When you are observing again and again, keep on practicing, you see in-breath also have a beginning, the middle and the end. Out-breath also have the beginning, the middle and the end. So more and more you observe, instead of the intrinsic private character, you are bound to see the common character. That is happening if you are observing one object for longer time. And the second thing is, provided you can master the boredom, monotony, go prepared. Then private character is the first and then the common character. When that happens, if you are not succumb to the boredom, you see the common character is not limited to the in-breath and out-breath, even the rising and falling, or the left and the right, whatever may the materiality, it has. And beyond that you will see it is common for even the mentality. When the anger happens, or when the desire happens, or any other emotion happens, these all waves have the same wave pattern. The beginning, the middle and the end. So when that happens, the beginning, the middle and the end, you are bound to see whatever may be, whether it is object, materiality, corporeality, or the mental aspect, or the observing mind, everything has this, the beginning, the middle and the end. So this is the first time you are going to get the notion of impermanent nature. But the part you see is an agglomeration it's a heap. But you keep on observing, you can see within the in-breath there are 1001 small in-breaths. Within the out-breath there are 1001 small out-breaths. Or otherwise, in-breath is something compiled thing, agglomerated thing, long observation you can see, even though it appears like a smooth series of actions, there are a lot of tiny particles. So this is yet another dimension of the phenomena when you keep on observing. And it says, if you are observing a cartoon film, you see the animation, how these the animals and the people are moving. in order to have this animation in a smooth way, the projector has to run in a particular given rounds per minute. Supposing the projector is going to slow down little, you can see one plate to the other, jumping one to the other, no drama. You can't see animation, but you can see the mechanism, how these cartoon films are working. There is no living beings, it is just diagrams, one plate to the other, jerks are happening. Exactly the way in the meditation also, when the mindfulness and the concentration increasing, within one in-breath, you find 1001 in-breath. And the out-breath also like that. And if your mind is very gross, if you are looking from a distance, you feel like a smooth, the beginning, the middle and the end. Smooth beginning, the middle and the end of the out-breath. But if you come closer, immediate observation, within the in-breath, there are tiny, tiny particles. They have their own in-breath and out-breath. Likewise, this sharpness, when it happens, you see everything is an agglomeration. The mind is developing the cleavages between each and every tiny particle. It is been phrased as thin slicing of time. This thin slicing of time is impossible unless otherwise mind becomes so efficient with the steadfast mindfulness and the sharp observation of the, with the help of concentration. When the thin slicing happens, you can't entertain the drama. As if the projector is running slow. But instead you can see how the cartoon film is working. So this is you start to see in the sitting meditation, where the mindfulness and the concentration is fairly strong. At the best of your time, you can understand the whatever you hear, whatever you, the pain, feeling, or thoughts, or in-breath and out-breath, they are nothing but the agglomeration. When everything come together, it appears like a solid. But when we spread off, due to your sharpness of the mind, it becomes nothing but a cloud or a volatile thing. For example, when you see a beehive glued together, it appears one shape, pear shape or round shape. When the individual bee is going to fly, it appears like a cloud, spread in a large area, but as far as the queen is there, everyone is not scattered off, it says going to pieces without falling apart. So that is how the every phenomena is become, whenever you are going to be very immediate, with a healthy mind, prepared mind, with the full of concentration and the mindfulness, everything becomes see-through. So when that see-through happen, it is called the particular knowledge is known as the knowledge of seeing the arising and passing away. Tinier the particle, swifter the speed. When they become agglomerated, it appears like lasting. It appears like a durable. So when that when the mindfulness and the concentration align, that sharpness is just like a laser beam. Whatever it hit, it split. And through the splits, it hit further. And ultimately, the scaling like going to happen. So in-breath and out-breath, any other phenomena, physical and mental, you are bound to see so much of tiny particles. So this is explained in the commentarial way, as if you observe a water body, a lake or something like that, while raining. Raindrops are happening, and everywhere you can see the movements. And that may be what the scientists are observing under the electron microscope. More you go into the tiny the particles, not the molecules, not the atom, but particles, and you go there, tinier the particle, very fast. They come to know when you go to a particle physics, if you wish to see the volume, the mass of the particle, you can same time never understand its velocity. If you are fixing the machine to see the velocity, you will never understand its mass. One thing at a time, because there are only two characters available, the mass and the velocity. If you are fixing to the velocity, you can't see the mass. If you see the velocity, mass, you can't see the velocity. It is so swift. So likewise, when our microscope also becomes sharpened, becomes focused, and you can see, when you are observing, it's so swift, it is so quick happening. So irrespective of the matter, whether it is heat element, or water element, or earth element, or air element, just arising and passing away. And when you go to even to the mental situation, they are arising and passing away. Ultimately, individuality completely disappears. Everything representing as arising and passing. Their choicelessness is an intrinsic feature. Choicelessness or common character is its nature. So if you are not be prepared to see things in the choiceless awareness, you will get bewildered. More and more you have immediate observation, continuous observation, incessant observation, untiring kind of observation. You are going to face with it, and if you do not understand the term meaning of the choiceless awareness, you will definitely bewildered to understand something hallucinating, or something mind-made, or something the dream-like situation. So this is what called Udayabbe Jnana. It is a parallelism to this, the Magga Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, and that is the maximum, the momentum or maximum immediacy. You can go into the phenomena, and when the Fridge of Capra, when he's writing the book Tao of Physics, he came very close to this situation. He was explaining about this, what the particle physics and how they work and kind of thing, and he wished to compare it with the fast movement of the Nataraj, find in the Hindu tradition. And the Nataraj is the person having so much of hands and living for the moment, touch the ground only with his toe, all the others are in a dancing position. So that is how it says the Leela, the drama in the world at large. So one day he go and sit in the seashore and observe the waves, and he see how much the wave were happening, incessant manner, untiring manner, wave after the wave, it is going, and immediately he coincides, this is the drama, this is the Nataraj, and this is the particle physics. And then he wrote about the Tao of Physics. Now it may be the 20th edition. He says he challenged that day the whole physics. He said physics had lost, because the physicists are looking outwardly. But the Hinduism or the Buddhism is asking to look inwardly, no telescope and the microscope, but the mindfulness and the concentration, immediately, same object, incessant way, immediately. Then you are going ultimately exactly the particle physics people understand, and you can also see in the breath. In breath, out breath. Some people can understand this kind of calibration even in walking meditation, and sometimes in the day-to-day activities also, whenever the mindfulness and the concentration come aligned. That not the mere mindfulness, the concentration, that mindfulness is called the steadfast mindfulness, and the concentration is called at least the access concentration with the access momentary concentration. When that happens, the meditation is about to take off. You have no control. Even if you wish to control, ego has nowhere, it is dashing through. So that is the point where the Magga Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi or the Udayabhya Jnana is been well explained. Why the Buddhamantani Putta says, this is not my aim, I am not living my holy life to see this Magga Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi, because whenever someone come up to that level, he is opening so much of scope, opening so much of opportunities, opening so much of abilities in their mind, whatever they are going to do, it will be a success. Whether it's a mundane level or supramundane level. Whether in the worldly knowledge or the supramundane knowledge. So, 1001 people at that level, sympathetically, pathetically going back to the worldly knowledge. Because whatever they are going to do is a success. So if such a people going to do healing, definitely. If such a people going to give blessing for other people, definitely. So therefore, Venerable Jnanarama used to say, if the monks are going to do anything, it is a success except meditation. Any business you see when the monks are touching, they are masters. Because they have developed certain amount of spiritual qualities and ultimately diverting it to the worldly knowledge. That is what the point you have to be careful. I would say the term carefulness, but I am saying be prepared. Whenever the meditation becomes successful, all the people right around you will pull you into the worldly abilities, and whatever you are going to do is success. There is no alternative. There is no other something for you to reflect upon. So that is the point you are going to lost yourself. So unless otherwise you are working in the dispensation of the Buddha, unless otherwise you are listening to Venerable Punnamantani Putta, you will be swift off. You will be taken off, because whatever you are going to do be a success. That means you become again outwardly. You will be in the social work. You will be in the compassion to others. You will be healer. Or you will be giving the blessings. Just that personally, this more than 30 years, I have been in this mindfulness. I was observing these so-called successful monks. Those who are living in Sri Lanka can understand what happened to them. They are coming like anything. The popularity, everything goes. Ultimately, we don't know how the end was. Because the present day mass media is so cunning. They know how to exploit this kind of monks. And put it up there on the pedestal, start whitewashing. And the monks also do not know. Not only the monks, successful yogi, everyone is succumb to that situation. And they are to be pavivekata, not going for socialization. And be unto yourself. Be contented with what is available. And don't go for the consumerization and solitude. Keep your interest not by phrasing of the others, but by the association with the noble friends. It is a task. It is a task. That is why this stage is known as understanding the path as non-path. So therefore, more and more you become successful, you have to always remember, where does I start? What was my objectives? Am I still looking forward and heading to that objectives, or due to these temporary capacities, you are going to experiment it with the other worldly beings and worldly affairs, and that is the point. Now American Buddhism is at a great danger. Because no one is aiming at Nibbana. They are aiming at the healing, curing, and other kind of thing, advertising. You can look into the papers and you can see how the mindfulness is being advertised. For this one and that one, all are worldly mundane things. So that is why some people predicting now it's a high time for the Western people to understand the main objective, why we are meditating. What is the final aim? In short of that final aim, if you are aiming at any kind of thing, this danger is there. Asare saramatino sare cha sara dasino te sarang nadi gaccanti micca sankappa gochara. Understanding these minuous short objectives as the final essence and forget about the final essence in the face of this minual objective, even at the face of the best opportunity, they will never select that because of their wrong thoughts. So therefore Dhamma is ever living. But if you have the minuous objectives, due to your untrained mind, that objective will decide where the destiny is. Not the opportunities given. Not the endowment you are going to have. So therefore, how much we have to think about or direct about to our simple, humble object. The final object. But of course the Nibbana is ineffable. So one can ask to what we are aiming at. Simply you can say to see things as they are. Don't get carried away by the halfway qualities you are going to develop. Definitely you are going to earn. Definitely mystic powers. Definitely popularity. And the not very much explained and clearly indicated in the Theravada books, but some of the Mahayana books going to explain, whenever you are mastering about the perception, you will be a superb orator. You can short to the point, you can give a talks clearly, and you feel like this is my quality. Of course they become the useless fellows, but as the Pandita Sayadaw says, even the rock statues will be shaken head when they are talking. So much of the oratory, because of their straightening of their perception. And such a person, to consider inwardly rather than talking others, how difficult, how important. And whenever you are mastering about your body, to keep little longer, and not to carried away by the pain and the pleasure, and not to fork fingers, and to understand, and to not to use these superior qualities for the trivial things, slowly you are coming above the friction level. So such a person soon or often forget about their primary object. So that is why the meaning of the Magga Jnana Dasana Visuddhi. So therefore we must have a mirror in front of us to see where are we going. Only mirror is the noble friends, the holy friends, and we must have access to them. We must have a free rapport, discussion with them, and maintain the quality, the beginner's mind and the humbleness, and then better chances are there rather than you become arrogant and fool-headed. So if that is the case, no one can rescue. So therefore, the working in or association with the noble friends is hardly you can overemphasize. That means your humbleness, more and more you go forward, you have to understand more the sharpness of the weapon, you have to keep it always under a sheath, a cover. Otherwise it will be cutting itself and damaging itself. So therefore more and more you go there, maintain the quality of apicchata. Don't go for luxuries. And don't go for the incontentedness, instead develop the contentedness. And then pavivekata, have your time as much as possible for the spiritual quest rather than for overtime work and kind of thing for sensuous pleasure. And then asansagata, we have to have association with the society, because we have to earn it. We are not coming from the kingly families. But limit it to the utility value and don't give up the virya or energy, and then only you can think about the upliftment of the moral conditions, upliftment of the concentration, the wisdom, and then the frequent acquaintance with the final aim. Where are we going? And whatever the little thing you have achieved, so such as the moral responsibility, little concentration and mindfulness and wisdom, everything then and there appreciate it and see the conducive condition for that to promote further and further. So that is the how we have to facilitate it, and that is even then we come up to this understanding of the quick arising and passing away, and understand the path and non-path. It is not once and for all. Today you may be in the correct path, and tomorrow you will be again vulnerable. And today you may be vulnerable, tomorrow you will be very efficient. So therefore, the correct path or the middle path you have to assimilate then and there, and that maintain a situation or nature whenever or wherever or whatever the middle path you assimilated, you can't give it to your dear and near ones. They themselves has to start their own way. Because his unentanglement is according to his or her entanglement. Your entanglement is according to your own entanglement. So therefore, ever you have to be vigilant and diligent, and always understand, any time we may be off the shoot, or off the route, or off route. So therefore, again, bringing back to the main track is, no second person responsibility, your own responsibility. That may be the reason the Buddha says, I have nothing to do on that respect. Only thing is, he can pump the knowledge, this is a vulnerable situation, always not only earning the mindfulness and the concentration, always see where you are heading for. Where is the direction is, so the vigilance must be there. For that, for my understanding, and I think Buddha also directly mentioned, the association with the noble friends and the holy people is the way. Otherwise, all the qualities may be in the wrong direction. So therefore, while practicing this common sense must be there. It must be under the guard. So that's all I thought of sharing today with respect to this the purification by the knowledge and the vision of what is the path and what is not the path. It's a very brief and vague kind of instructions, and you have to understand according to your background and your knowledge. And I hope whatever may be, what I mentioned will be helpful for you to get into the correct path. Thank you very much for listening. Yesterday I lost 3 questions and I found it. So I would like to deal it today before asking any question from the audience for the moment. This is also a repetition for the day before discussion. It says, is compassion the same as love or loving kindness? What is the difference between the each particular love and the loving kindness? So, as I mentioned, instead of the love is being always mixed up or interpreted with the lust in the Western terminology. So therefore it is friendliness, or how the mother and the children relationship. That is what the example the Buddha has given. So therefore the loving kindness is metta, the the characteristic is given as the consideration of the well-being of the other, well-being of the being. The compassion is yet another quality. It says you get moved whenever you see someone is desperately in a need situation, bad situation. That is called compassion. Loving kindness of the compassion. The loving kindness is the whole living beings. Compassion is for the beings, those who are in the difficult situation. You feel like helping them. This is the compassion. That is the one, I think, exactly the same raised that day as in the different terms. In a world where civilization has integrated technology to the modern society, how can a world population of 4.5 billion persons strive to the without money when everything costs resource or money? Aren't these ideas incompatible with the modern society? This is also, we discussed that day. So, don't try to, generalize these ideas. The Vipassana is working in the only one dimension, here, now, I am. Don't go for the plurality. You can't say everywhere, every place for every people. It is working here, now I am. So when it is working, sometimes when you are developing mindfulness and the constantly you feel like sharing with others, you have to be a little careful. Everyone is not up to that level. That is not telling that you become selfish and closing doors. Keep it open, but don't press. Don't think from your terms. Society at large is a very complicated thing. But even under such complications, if you are really made up your mind, you can bring the attention here and now. But you must not generalize that is a duty of everyone, or it is easy for everyone. That is, I would say, overgeneralization. This question comes under such circumstances. So, in the last time when I was in Florida also, there was one gentleman, he is always asking how everyone can practice meditation. How can get the time? Then I told the Buddha is never prescribing meditation for everyone. It's prescribed those who wish, come and practice it. Even then it is, results are not assured. So some people get it. So therefore those who are not practicing, it is none of our problem. Even the Buddha was not worried about. So therefore, don't try to overgeneralize it. So the using money and not using money, using the technology and not using the technology, these are, as far as you are taking the issue to the here now I am, irrelevant. But you are going to think in terms of macro level or in the plural terms, then only the problem happens. So, the simple answer is, mind your own business. Explain the difference between the free and donation. That is also the donation is the case people believe in the good begets good, bad begets bad. So that is how the donation come into being. Free means there is no such a belief. So therefore, if something you give free, the nature give everything free of charge. The Buddha says that the forest is the admirable system where it fixes the sunlight, the rain and the air and give everything free of charge to the beings. But the forest has no idea about the good begets bad and the bad begets good begets good and the bad begets bad. It is not believing karma and karma theory, result theory. But the donation come, you know, good begets good and the bad begets bad. Therefore, if you donate, you also will get whenever you need. So that is how the donation or charity come into being. So these are the three questions. Last time I misplaced and I postponed due to the lack of time. So now I invite, if you have any other question or statements or remarks. Bhante, the conventional teaching tells us to observe the Noble Eightfold Paths to lead to the Nibbana. Where does the Saptavisuddhi integrate into the Noble Eightfold Path? It says that as far as it's a kind of a parallelism, as far as the Chitta Visuddhi is concerned. Chitta Visuddhi is concerned, when the mind becomes pure, you are bound to see the suffering nature, and whenever the mind is not concentrated, it is in a agitated situation. So therefore you are bound to see, when the mind becomes concentration, you are getting opportunity to see the suffering nature. And whenever the overcoming doubts, you are bound to see why suffering. The cause for suffering, as is simply doubts. And whenever the Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi, what we are talking, it says the way out. It says the way leading to Nibbana. Noble Eightfold Path is presented in different way, understand the path and non-path. So these are the different, it's called Desana Vilasa. Desana Vilasa means the Buddha knows the faculties of the listener. So according to his temperament only, he gives the examples and the way of teaching. So Sattva Visuddhi, specifically the Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi, the knowing the path and non-path, is a kind of same thing of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, etc. Sattva Visuddhi is a sure result if Sattana Visuddhya, is a sure result if we follow the steps of the Satipatthana Sutta. There are 7 benefits. The first one is Sattana Visuddhya, that is, in order to create the faith, at the beginning Buddha start with the results and then present the Satipatthana. Again, may I humbly ask you, where and how we could apply the Sapta Visuddhi in the above, the Visuddhi, exactly the term. So whenever you become free of hatred, the desire and the delusion, then only the mindfulness comes in. Each and every moment of mindfulness make the mind free of 3 basic roots of the defilements. So when the momentum goes, at the beginning you can check whether even for a 1 split second, you can be mindful. If possible, potential is there. Then you have to make the ways and means how to maintain the consecutive thought moments, the momentum of the mindfulness. That is how the Samma Sati, the factor of enlightenment, going to come into being. Visuddhi means, if we are not effortful or if we are not mindful, naturally mind is polluted, defilements. So if we is to keep it pure, you have to make sure it must be here, now, I am. Whenever the mind come up to the here, now, I am situation, Visuddhi, clear. Continuity is our challenge. We have to keep on continuous. When it's happening, whether it is Sattva Visuddhi level, into 7, or 4 establishments of mindfulness, they are, according to the listener's taste, different ways of presentation. Is it possible to say the Sattva Visuddhi and the Sattanam Visuddhi are comparable equally in the development of the second Vipassana insight? You can't attribute to the particular Vipassana each and every Vipassana level or Sotapatti Magga Jnana, the Visuddhi, in the sense of Visuddhi. That means it indicates we are born Sotapanna. It is covered with the defilements. If you remove the defilements, you are there. Otherwise, nothing we gain. Only thing is, externally it is being covered and rust and dust. You have to, without damaging the internal things, remove the dust and then it comes. So, Visuddhi means removal of the dust. Whether it is with the Sattva Visuddhi method or Sattanam Visuddhi in terms of developing the mindfulness, exactly the same.
Gauravaniya Swamin Wahansa, I have a question. Now at one stage today you told that the yogi sees the conscious mind in terms of the unconscious mind, and at that stage the suchness, he sees suchness. Do you mean the reality by suchness?
What's the last part? The reality?
By suchness. What do you mean? Is it identical with the reality?
Yeah, the suchness means the nature. The things as they are. And but whenever we are going to adjust the available thing, we are distorting the suchness. Human beings are such fanatic fellows, always adjusting. Always creative, always not happy with the existing one. They wanted to have research, they wanted to have novelty, they want to have creativity, productivity. That means you are going to make the suchness better. Only you can do is worst. The best thing you can do is let the nature to run as it is. That is the best you can do. But it is not an accident. You have to do in a systematic way, understanding your mind is itself a distortion. Mind means itself a turmoil. Unless the mind stops, it always forking fingers into the nature. So you have to calm down. When the more and more it calm down, you can see the nature. When you see the nature, it is already contented. It is already in a balance. It is in a harmony. That is called the Taoism. In the Buddhism it is called suchness. So the Buddha is known as Tathagata. Tatha is the term for suchness. Buddha is gone to the Tathagata. That means gone to the suchness. Is not worried about what is happening, but fully aware. So much he is aware, he is not going to adjust. He is not going to do, that's a very nice term, it is not coming for the moment. He is ready to accept as it is. The Putujjana, that means the commoner, is never happy. From morning to the evening, adjusting, everything, every thought moment we are thinking about adjustments. That is all sankhara. Sankhara means volitional action, willful action, motivation. Because present moment is not contented. Present moment we are not happy. Present moment we are not saturated. That lack of saturation is what we call suffering.
The term Tathagata means...
Tatha is the such. Such. And it is the same Taoism. Taoism very, very famous in the Zen Buddhism. It says that Taoism which can be explained is never the eternal Tao. Tao that can be explained is not the eternal Tao. That means the suchness cannot explain. Suchness is an experience. In order to experience, you have to withdraw yourself and see just like a child. At the young age, we were in the suchness. Now as we learn, as we become mature, what happened? We lost. And that is why if you have any problem, just look at the child. No tension. No frustration. No cancer. Because it's a fully natural. So therefore sometimes it says that the whole meditation is to have a child psychology. Go back to the, it's a going back. Back to the starting point, it's a very pure. So children, it's a real energizer. If I look at it that incessantly they are happy. Their eyes are so bright. And they have no opinion whether I am a boy or a girl. They don't understand whether it's a gold or their own fecus. Both of them are yellow in color. This is heat. The gold is cold, so they will be much happy with their own this thing. That is the point we started. That now we have to give a very serious, profound talk to remind you, we came from that suchness. So much we have other directed, we are conditioned ourselves, and we are assuming what is it is. But the best thing is, the starting point is much, much clearer, much, much undefiled. So it is everyone's potential is there, because our starting point is a classic example. Children. Pabassarimidam bhikkhave chittang agantuvake upakkalitan tanchako putujjano nappa janati stang putujjanassa chitta bhavana natti iti vadami. Generally the mind is lustrous, but unfortunately the outer crust is dust, is a thin layer, so therefore you can't see through, so you see only the dust. And therefore you don't recognize the humanity. And when you are looking at the other person also, we see only the dust or the outer crust. But if you can see through this thin layer, it's almost luminous as Buddha. But we are being so conditioned, we don't see that. We see he is a Tamil, I am Sinhalese Buddhist, I am better and Tamils are bad, and you are Western, we are Eastern, and we know better than you. All kind of things. That is nothing but due to the conditioning. Conditioning of according to our upbringing. And Buddha says definitely that can be washed off. Systematically, without damaging the middle, without damaging the core. Just like the goldsmith, removing the dust in the ornaments. It must be very careful manner. But extremes you have to go water and the fire. Then only the cleaning of the ornament can happen.
Swami Maha, in meditation, I have a puzzle. In meditation, now as we meditate on the object that is breath, let us say breath, after some time the breath is no more felt. It is not felt at all. Then how do we sort of get about with it? What you have taught us, going to the middle and to the end. Do we have to start force breathing in order to, or do I get it all wrong?
So simply I am telling, when the breath is not there, just be there, experience it and season it. Don't try to do something upon that. That is the main culprit, that is the main defilement. When the breath is not there, season it. And master it as much as possible, because that is the point, no defilements. Now you are asking me how to put defilements into that. That is the ever question, all the questions are based upon that. When the purity happens, how can I put the defilement into that? When the smooth flow is there, how can I get a turbulence? Because smooth flow is very boring. Very monotonous. No dramatic. So you want to add something. Ummalakada. That's a very famous case that if you feel not any tasty, we put little moldy fish. Then it becomes tasty. So you asking me, where can I buy moldy fish? That how do you call, more than giving a gift, accepting is very important. So that pure mind came. No bread, clarity is there. Now you are not accepting it, you are asking, how can I create another breath? How can I put something into that? Should I force breathe or something like? I mean, this is not the individual question. That is the game of our mind. That is what you call underlying tendency, mind never happy to see that it has no place. It is creating some or the other. Either question or doubt or some or the other. So you have to, if you wish to let the mind to get off, get out of the bench, you must be very calm and quiet. See, when the calm and quiet situation happens, how much I can maintain without forking fingers. That is my sole task. But instead if I ask what to next means, that means you are threatening, you are not ready to accept this situation, you don't feel contented, you are not feel satisfactory. And I am telling, it is not an individual question, everyone is suffering from that disease. So by applying the mind again and again, by seasoning only, one day you will understand from the beginning, from the date you start the life, it was coming and asking you, may I come in? You says no. I have some more important visitors, they are very colorful, they are full of defilements, full of drama. So why not I entertain them? You wait. So in the meditation, the visitor is frequently coming, but still up to your maximum capacity, you keep it at the threshold level, at the door. Don't open it. That's a kind of crafty nature of the mind. So we think our mind is the best friend of us. But mind you, mind has its own agenda. It is, our well-being is not the agenda of the mind. That the day you understand is definitely at the deathbed. That is very too late. At the deathbed you understand mind has its own agenda. That I think mind is the close-most friend. And I have to satisfy it and all that. And that's why we do all our life. But the day you understand mind has its own agenda, it is not the well-being of me. It's too late at the deathbed. But in the meditator get a rehearsal before the death, so they can be aware. They are much prepared for the death.
Sir, Venerable Sir, following up on the question she asked, one of the problems that possibly many of us have is we are always told to come back to the breath. So we don't know when to stop trying to come back to the breath.
I understand the question.
So, how do we know what things to let go of and come back to the breath, and when to let go of the breath and not worry?
As far as the secondary object, as far as the intruder is concerned, you have to go back to the breath. There is no secondary intruder and the breath also so gone. That's the place you have to be.
Venerable Bhante, in some of your publications and also by Venerable Maha, they describe the Vipassana insight in a linear fashion, but in Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, I think it's in the foreword, he describes this sort of experience where he goes into a storm and it was a life-changing experience, and after he went through that experience, he was told by a lot of senior venerables that that's actually a really profound state of knowledge gathering, and he said that life was never the same. I understood that storm drawing parallels between some of the writings that you've done and also the Mahasi tradition, that to be an unfolding of the Vipassana insight. And if so, does every yogi just go through one experience and all the Vipassana jnana unfold in one go, or how does it manifest in the practice?
I mean, simply it is asking the quick enlightenment and the gradual enlightenment. It's an everlasting question. Throughout it was there. It was how the Angulimala came and met the Buddha. Buddha told, I stop, you better stop. That's all. He understood. And the Bahya came. Buddha says, this is natural to stop the seeing at seeing. So therefore train yourself. Stop the seeing at seeing. And when the Patachara comes, the Buddha says, sister, be mindful, and she managed. So it's a kind of a very, very quickly it happens. So everyone expects it. So present day, it's a hell of a question for Pavak Sayadaw. Because Pavak Sayadaw is teaching a very slow, systematic method starting from Samatha. And he says, even if you have the concentration, you have to undergo each and every object. But it's been prescribed in the books. It is not the matter of gaining the samatha, you have to undergo all the trials. Everyone is asking, if the concentration gain, why should you go for there? And how that Patachara came into so kind of thing. So, last time when I go there also, he asked quick enlightenment and kind of thing. I can't understand what he's telling. But I later came to know he's been threatened. Everyone is waiting for the quick enlightenment. But ultimately he is prescribing very slow method. So then I told Bhante, when you study the Sutta Nipata is a very tiny book. And it is been known as the most philosophical part in the Attaka Vagga and Parayana Vagga. Very deep. And you don't find 4 stages like Sotapatti, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arhat. Everyone came and directly become Arhat. There is no 4 stages. Whole book you don't find level. And when you come to the balance of the Tipitaka, you find Sotapatti, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arhat. And when you come to the Rathavinitha Sutta, to become Sotapatti, 7 stages. And after the Rathavinitha, commentarial level, the main Vipassana Jnana divided into 16 Vipassana Jnanas. And that is how the living Dhamma is changing. So Pavaksayadu says that whenever the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the very first Sutta delivered, Kondanya became Sotapat. So why don't you read and see the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra? If you become Sotapanna, everyone is happy. Be Sotapanna. If it is possible, be happy. Otherwise, come to me, I will tell you slow method. That's the way he says. If it is, you have the potential by listening and by reading, you may jump. If it is not there, don't lose the heart. There are other slow methods. So therefore, Mahasi had also sometimes explained, even the linear method is happen, some few stages, some can jump over. From 3 to 9. Other person may be from the 1 to 7. Some may person go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is Anupada Dhamma Vipassana. It is explained by in the Majjhima Nikaya, there's a one Anupada Dhamma Sutta. It says the gradual method. So Pavaksayadu is overemphasizing. But commentator says, Anupada Dhamma means a roll is rolling, so you can see the mark on the ground. He says, Venerable Sariputta went through the rolling system, so you can see the continuous mark. Venerable Moggallana's method is just like you are using a walking stick. Here and there you have the dots. Yattikolito, yattikotito, pilentovya. So you have the dots at the far apart, and that is also something like a line, but you don't have one-to-one relationship. So that is the way he went there. So different methods are there. So therefore, as far as your maturity comes, you take few steps. And there, if it is not continuous, again you have to go for the slow method. And then when the potential develops, it takes leaps. And if it is jumping leaps, no problem. Otherwise, you have to go for the slow method. So therefore, the we, luckily or unluckily, came into being after 2600 years. It's a fact. So therefore, if it is happening in a way, we keep the door open, otherwise we never give up. We incessantly practice mindfulness and then can go into that. I don't know whether I have addressed to your question. If it is not so, you have to rephrase the question.
You have, but I think what I'm trying to understand is, okay, the Vipassana insights that are described in the books, they are of course sequential, because every book says you have Namarupa Parichedana, Paccapariddhāñāna, Sammasana Jnana, etc., Bhanga Jnana, Uddiyabba Jnana, Bhanga Jnana, etc. Do they, whilst that sequence is happening, do they happen in a three-dimensional kind of way, or is it that you, like, how, I guess I'm trying to understand the storm in the book to how it happens in the practice.
That you, if you are reading the preface, Mahasi Sayadaw has mentioned that if I am to refer back to the situation before the Mahasi Sayadaw, the Jetavun Sayadaw was the master. One day he was a forest monk, never come to the society. One day he has been asked for a special monastic formula reading for the establishment of the Sima. So everyone was happy that day the Jetavun Sayadaw came. And that is the establishment of the Sima, ordination hall. After that everyone pay respected, Bhante, you came today, why don't you give a talk? So he has started the given a talk from a commoner to go up to the Anagami level that he has given. So everyone was so imbibed the way he presented. And the secretary was the Sobana. I can't remember, the secretary of that team. He came and told Bhante, we were not prepared, but you gave a brilliant talk, no recording. So therefore, am I excused to write something, what I gathered, would you mind to proofread it and give it? Because he was at a very old age. Then he has told Sundara, I will tell you one thing. What you learn, what you heard directly from me, if you have any question, now I am living, I can answer. But once you put into a book, it is raising so much of questions. Because what you are going to write is a linear system. That linear system is not the way it is happening. So therefore, I totally deny, don't write. So the Sundara, the secretary, was so shocked because he has already made up his mind to get some scribblings and make it the body. But the chief denied. But he has given some kind of a sketch, the skeleton. And then when the Mahasi Sayadaw came into being, he also had the same question, but he was bold enough to present it whatever may be in the linear system. And when it is happening, the Sundara was, the senior monk was still living, and he has written the preface, Mahasi Sayadaw is what he is doing is something better than nothing. But definitely it is going to raise question. Because the Nibbana is ineffable. What you explain is the grammatical and the language is linear. So you try your best, but never you will be giving a satisfactory explanation. For example, that the three character types, feelings, perception, and the volitional. So we have to cover all the three, but individually relevant only 1/3 of it, according to his or her character type. But when you are reading the book, so if you will say, for example, you are much with the feelings, so you read it, it's very juicy, very sappy. So when you are reading the perception part, it says, what is the relevance? Because your address and your bottleneck is feeling. And when you are reading, it appears very boring, not applicable. And when you are reading the volitional part also. But the book to be complete, you have to write all the three. But the relevance according to your distinct. So therefore Mahasi Sayadaw, even if it is presented in the way, not the Mahasi Sayadaw, it has happened with the Venerable Buddhaghosa, this is not the way it happens. There are some people jumping over, some people elaborating one part in the longer time, so this is a kind of a trial. So therefore, when you are writing books, equally you are making a damage. So the direct communication, the Buddha when he is talking, he is addressing to his personality trait and giving. That is called Desana Vilasa. But after Venerable Ananda is accumulating everything, he put everything into one basket and say, this is Sutta. And there it is addressing different people. In a way it is a richness of the matter, information, but you must be choosy. In understanding, it's called Varanavasosana in Sinhala, selective absorption. Selective absorption, it says in the plants living at the seashore, they have no water. They are living on water, but water is salty. So they can't absorb it. So what they do is, they are waiting for the rain to happen, accumulate everything from the leaves, even though in the water. Because water is salty. So they have to have the selective absorption, otherwise the salt water will osmosis, remove the fresh water and plant will die. So even though it is living in the water, it can't take fresh water. Likewise, when the Dhamma is given in the full-fledged buffet diet, your selection. And the simple thing you have to understand, you can't eat the whole table. Never. But what you eat is very little enough for your stomach, and that your selection it's a completely a luck by chance. It's the impromptu happening. But anyway, so far, by looking at the audience, I would say, you people are very efficient, very lucky, very advanced. Because the basic steps are already gone now. But when you are presenting a talk, we have to start from the ABC, even whether you are advanced or not. So, absorb in the correct perspective. And that's relevant, not for your enlightenment. Whenever you are talking to someone, to give instruction, then that is relevant, what you are talking and the communication. For your understanding, of course, too much of information may be a little lagging behind, but no problem. But when you are talking to someone, you have to give a ABC method, gradual method. So therefore, the more and more books happen, more and more complications. More and more teachers, more and more complications. But that is the way the Dhamma is, the living methods are propagating.
Swami Mahamsa, just to undermine my understanding, can you, so in one jnana, for example, you can really dwell into and then go backwards and forwards? Is that also the way?
Definitely. Each and every sitting is a repetition of jnana. So more and more you assume the beginner's mind, your advancement not a problem. Next day also you know how to assimilate ABC. So never assume now you are at the grade 3 or grade 4 kind of assumption. Assuming is the place you are dropping. Daily unassuming, daily starting from the beginning, no damage. So that is why the beginner's mind, the Zen mind, the beginner's mind, the Suzuki's book, very famous.
What is the use then of the commentaries, of this lineage, of this straight way? I mean, it's confusing, isn't it?
Confusing if you do not know the art, which is not a science. You have to understand whatever applicable, use it. Go ahead. The theory must have the limited knowledge, that is called theoretical knowledge, and then the deductive knowledge, the practical knowledge. They are not the same, but one thing is leading to the other.
Bhante, is it right if I say that conditioning is a result of sensuality? If it is right, sensual restraint is what matters.
Sensuality, you can't say the sensual impingement and this thing is not due to the conditioning. The attachment to that is the problem. It says that some people has tried the cats. 7 days time they are opening the eyes. So they have kept the cats. Even after opening the eyes, for another 7 days in darkness, their brain development is reduced by 70%. Because when the eye open, the light must happen, the faculties must work, and then the brain has to get the proper backing. It is not happening because they have kept it in the dark. So therefore, for our fulfilled living, we must have the visual objects, sounds and kind of thing. But our selecting and choosing and attachment to some part and rejecting other parties, that is the problem. If you give the choiceless awareness or unassuming this thing, no harm. By itself it has no bad malevolent intention, but it is our choosing nature. And it is also conditioned by the upbringing and our whatever we bought from the last life, if you are believing, or that kind of thing. And that is why the theist people understood, they attributed that our selection is the will of the God. So it is so mystic. But if we are the person selecting, the will we select the bad thing? No. But ultimately, every way selected is a bad thing. That is why the marriage is a failure. Even the love affair or whatever the proposal, it's a failure. But unmarried people are very happy. Their condition is not towards the married identity. So therefore the selection, the choose, the will, the intention, that is the most malevolent thing. So that we don't believe. That is why the Buddha says, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha, Sabbe Sankhara Anicca. Sankhara means the volition. Each and every volition is dukkha, the suffering, and the impermanent. So we are not happy to listen it. We are not happy to digest it, to understand it. But that is a already accepted phrase, Sabbe Sankhara Dukkha.
So it tells the story that all those six senses are active, and we have to know how we react to them.
How we select.
How we select.
So that is what the intention. So do we have the plasticity of the intention, or is it pre-decided? So Buddha says it is plasticity. You can control it. Accordingly, you can decide the destiny. But if you say our mind is hardwired thing, can't help, if the sexual thing happen, it is I become sexy, I can't help. Or if it is nice food happen, the desire happen, I can't help. But Buddha says, yes, unconditioned mind, yes. It is externally controlled by when the mind is trained, whatever the external thing, you can restrain within. So it is not happening in the natural way. It is systematically you have to train yourself. Then one day you can get unmoved by the object outside.
Going back to enlightenment, they say like if you adhere to the Satipatthana Sutra precisely for 7 days, you can get enlightened.
So asking from me?
No.
So why don't you try?
No, I want to try.
So that's that. You have to at least continuously mindful be 7 days and see. Satipatthana means establishment of the mindfulness. So how often we are, even though we are in the 7 days in the retreat, how much we are in the mindfulness? So that is the idea is to, if you have the continuity of the mindfulness, sometimes 7 days not necessary. 1 day's time, but continuity, persistent. Then the change happens. That's the secret of momentum. Here and there dots or momentum. Momentum is a completely different thing. Okay, now it is almost, yeah. So that is the traditional answer, that is the normal way.
These vipassana jnanas one earn, can they be lost again?
Yeah. So after the first jnana, it can be erased. After the first jnana only, it becomes irrevertible. That is why it says that after the sotapanna, you will never go to the nether world or kind of thing. But till that, go there and come back. So continuity is different issue, but otherwise, hoda mandidano. That is, I don't know how to put it in English. That the lahata gembe kotu korna kiyala kiyanne. Laha is open. I'm sorry. If you have a vessel like that, it is called, we have the something vessel to measure paddy. Laha, it's an open pad. If you are going to collect frogs into this sun, how much will be remaining? So it's the lahata gembe kotu korna is the same. So if you have the covered one and seal, whatever you put, accumulation happens. So therefore, the vipassana knowledges, there is a kind of a temporary adjustment happening in your brain set. As far as the momentum is there. Once again you put there, again the same result you can't get it. There may be some memory residues that will be helpful. So that continuity is the one. So till you understand that, you do little and rest. Again do little and rest. so much so no accumulation. One day you will understand. The best example is Angulimala. At the beginning he killed the people and got the fingers and kept it on the rocks. Because it is very dirty smell. So next day he go there, the crow come and lift it. And everywhere he hide it. Wherever he hide, next day he go there, after full fighting only he got this thing. What he did was ultimately put a garland and hang it, so smelly, very bad, but the accumulation start once you put it with him. Then only the name came, Angulimala. But that only 999. Even before how much he killed, we don't know. That is the way when we are starting meditation, we kill it, but keep it in an unwanted place. Next day when you go there, so one day you have to understand, we have to call ourselves monks or nuns or meditators and recognize with that and continue till that your trial and error is happening. Can you repeat the question? So that is why the first jnana is known as irrevertible. Then onward, it never go back. Up to now, up to the first one, it is not the climbing the grease poles in the Alutavurdusave in the New Year. We have the traditional New Year ceremonies, and this huge the ground, they stand a arecan tree, a very strong cylindrical tree. You polish it and apply grease. And on top of there is a flag. One has to climb up there and to get the flag, then you will get a prize. But the pole is with grease. So people are climbing and dropping. Again climbing and dropping. It's very common in New Year Day. So Vipassana is just like climbing on the grease poles. But each time you climb, little bit of grease is removing. But new area goes there, again you drop. And people laugh and make fun out of you. So one day, at that time you have to, from the beginning to the top, you have to climb. Number of times so that you have drop and again, but the fun is there. That is the game. So likewise, you develop your own ways and means how to develop the continuity, the gathering of the experience. That is completely different thing from the introduction. Introduction is to introduce the mindfulness, and the continuity, persistent or steadfast mindfulness is another quality of the same mindfulness. Okay, now we have to release Liana Mata. Yesterday also he was quite late. So I proposed better to go for the marking the end of the day's program.